Hello, this is Auto Imagination with the Healing Garden. And thank you so much for joining me for Shifting Perspectives, the Lightworkers edition. I want to really step back and take a look at Mercury retrograde right now. I experience it very differently than the way all the other Lightworkers experience it. And there's only a few, I'm pretty sure it's more common than we're aware of, but at the same time, we don't hear from those people very often. That's the right way to say that. Those people we just don't hear from them. What we hear from are the people who are really suffering under the magnetic shift. So I'm going to get into what exactly is going on, but I like to go the route of physics and manifestation and psychology rather than the spiritual religious aspect of this. Inside of our gorgeous brains is something called a hippocampus. Our hippocampus is basically the educational center of your brain, and it's the size of a walnut. When you educate yourself, it gets bigger. When you are traumatized, it gets smaller. Eventually, as you grow, depending upon how fast you grow, how much you learn, how much you educate yourself, as you grow, you basically go through perspective shifts, 8 different perspectives to be precise. Most of us make it to about the 4th perspective and then we stop growing because perspectives 1 through 4 do not value education. But if you value education, if you value growth, and if you are of an ethical perspective that is 5, 6, 7, or 8, that means that you are going to prioritize your growth, which means you're probably going to read books. It means you're probably going to do mathematics and push yourself and grow and learn. As you do all of this really awesome shit, your hippocampus gets bigger. Now, if you are subjected to a lot of trauma, it might actually shrink. But if you're educating yourself, depending upon if you can educate yourself more than you are traumatized, you will actually reverse the effects of your trauma and your hippocampus will grow rather than shrink. At some point, the hippocampus gets so large that it starts to pick up, kind of like an antenna or a beacon, on the electromagnetic field that is all around us and through us. Our entire bodies is nothing but an electrical current. We are energy and electricity, and our brains are constantly firing off electrons and neurons. It's really cool, sciencey shit. That being said, when your hippocampus finally reaches a certain point around the 6th perspective, that's where things get wonky. And that's the official word of the day, wonky. You have a wonky hippocampus. That is what's wrong. It's not really wrong. It just means your beacon has suddenly turned on and now you're picking up a lot of energy waves from the electromagnetic field that you, prior to it going wonky, couldn't feel. Now, physics, well, you've become the plaything of physics. Now, physics is affected by a whole ton of shit like gravitational pulls of the moon, which is why we have the tides, and planetary bodies, energy, stars, space, astronomy, and shit that goes down here on planet Earth. Now, this really awesome electromagnetic field wraps all the way around the planet Earth, and we've got our gorgeous polarities going from the North Pole and the South Pole doing a whole bunch of really awesome shit, and you, gorgeous person, are grounded to this electrical current. Your hippocampus is now going wonky because it's picking up on all of this energy. Now, when planets start to shift and move, because God forbid they sit still and do nothing, no, they're moving up there. It changes the current and the frequency and the flow of the energy pool. That is going to pull on you. Now, when it pulls on you and you have a small hippocampus, you're going to be completely unaware of this. Welcome to the 1st through 4th perspective. The 5th is on the cusp. Half of the 5ths will feel it. Half of the 5ths won't. But it's around the end, mid to end of the 5th perspective when the hippocampus finally grows big enough that you start to feel it. Now, once you get into the 6th perspective, that's when that hippocampus finally grows big enough that it's really pulling down a lot of energy from the electromagnetic field, and that's fucking around with your brain. That's why you're having visions. That's why you're seeing shit. That's why you can see past and present and future lives and all of the things. And it's fucking terrifying. Perspective 6 is terrifying. When I was in my 6th perspective, I got an MRI done because I was that fucking terrified. I was like, oh my God, am I having an aneurysm? And all I could think about was the movie. What is that movie called? Oh my God. What is that movie called? Oh shit. Not now. I need this movie name. Oh, John Travolta. Epiphany. No, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. Uh, John Travolta movies. Just give me a minute. Google's got to be my friend. Starts with a P. I just got this stupid P in my brain, and I'm like, I cannot remember. All right, let's go to Wikipedia. Give me just a second, because this is really, really important. Phenomenon. That's it. I'm sitting there going P, and it's a F sound because it's Greek. Phenomenon. So it's exactly like the movie Phenomenon. This is exactly what's going on. That is exactly what's going on. Is you are basically getting the phenomenon experience because your hippocampus is basically getting big, and now you're pulling in from all that energy, and now you're seeing shit and you're going, oh my God, and there is no information available to you. It's just, you have become the plaything of physics. That's what's going on. It's okay. And once you cross over to the 7th perspective, it stops. I mean, you still get visions, you still are part of it, but it stops being ethereal. Did you ever watch Star Trek? Deep Space Nine, the Betazoid, going, I see things. She's 6th perspective. That ends when you get over to the 7th perspective. You're like, oh, I got this. All right, it's chill. Actually, when you get to the 7th perspective, you get quiet. You just shut the world away, you withdraw, and you just sit quietly alone with yourself and God. Whatever, you'll find out when you get there. And you just go quiet. The 8th perspective is when you have things a lot more figured out. And you're like, oh, okay, everything's cool. And you're cool again. And everything's stable. And the chaos has ended. You can still see shit. You can still have visions. But the whole ethereal, I see things like you're a betazoid, that's not there anymore. That's gone. I personally was thrilled when the 6th stage perspective ended because it was truly the perspective of chaos. Because it's when it's literally the joining and the coming together of the material plane with the ethereal plane. And the ethereal plane just descends upon you in this grandeur of squeezeness. And that's when everything goes wonky. Yes, these are the words. Yes. So 7th perspective, you isolate because holy fuck, have you got a lot to process. And then the 8th perspective, you're chill. And then you can function again. Only this time you can articulate all this shit. So what's going on during Mercury retrograde is basically that's when the big ass planets start to shift and reverse itself. And when it does, it basically, you're in a bathtub. Imagine the current of energy is the flow of the water, and the energy is flowing beautifully this way, and you as that 5-year-old child goes, no, I want to go the other way. So you push the water and you start to circulate the water the other way. Now you're going to have like a couple 2 minutes where there's chaos with the water because it's going, oh, we're changing direction, and then you're moving around this way, and then it finds the flow when it circulates again, and then after 6 months you go, I want to go the other way, and then it goes. That's what you're doing, except you're doing it with energy, and because you have a heightened hippocampus, you are caught in all of that crap, and that's why it's wonky. So it is a fantastic time, and this is it. If you are aligned to your song, you don't feel it. You feel nothing. And when you cross over into the 7th perspective, it's because you are aligned. And that is the doorway to get from 6th perspective over to 7th perspective. You have to align yourself. So once you're aligned, you're in 7th perspective, you've got a whole new perspective, and you're just going, I don't know shit. And you keep your mouth shut. And then the 8th perspective comes along, and you're like, all right, I got this. All right, I know where I am now. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know where I am. And I know my name. and you're good. The eighth perspective is nice. In fact, I've decided to not grow right now. I've decided to just kind of sit here and stabilize because that's where I am right now. That's definitely like, you know what? I'm done growing for a while. I need to just catch my breath because after the fifth and the sixth and the seventh, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. At fifth perspective, you decide, I'm done with the patriarchy. And sixth perspective, wonky shit happens with physics. And then seventh perspective happens and you're like, holy shit. And then eighth is like, all right, I'm stable. And you know what? I just went through fucking shit. I'm going to just chill for a while. So I like to think of the eighth perspective as the chill the fuck out stage because you just went through some serious shit for the last few years. So I'm in that stage. I'm chilling. Once I'm done chilling and I feel antsy again and I'm ready to go out and grow some more, I'll move on to the ninth. But for now, I got to sit on the eighth. That being said, your wonkiness. So when Mercury retrograde hits, basically every little thing about you that is not aligned to your harmonic tone is going to immediately pull at you. So if you are living a life, oh, please tell me you have music, some sort of music theory in your history here. If you are aligned to the song that is E sharp major, let's say E major, you are in the frequency of E major. Mercury, but you're really, let's clarify this. You might be living in E major, but really secretly you are A minor. So let's say your internal song is A minor, but you've been forced to live in E major. And then you're fine. Everything's cool. Everything is smoothly along. You feel suppressed and you've got A minor completely suppressed and it's obedient and you've thrown it away and killed it. But okay, you've got E major friends, your parents are E major, your job is E major, everything in your life is E major, your spouse, your children, and you're fine, even though you're an A minor in disguise, you're fine so long as you keep your mouth shut. And then Mercury retrograde happens. And Mercury retrograde has one job, to pull out everybody's proper frequency and song. So all that A minor wonderfulness that you crammed into a corner is going to scream because it's your authentic song, your authentic frequency that's drawn to Mercury retrograde. So it's your song that's going, there I belong, come home. And Mercury retrograde pulls on your A minorness, but you're E major. And that's going to fucking hurt. The severity of your pain is the severity in which you suppressed your authentic song. So, how's Mercury retrograde treating you? How does it feel? That's a good clue as to how inauthentic you've been living. Now, grabbing a bunch of crystals and putting them up your ass is not a good solution to this problem because that's basically if I put these crystals up my ass, then I'll be like, I can still live as an E major. It's time to become A minor because that is who you are. And no amount of crystals, no amount of meditation is going to change the fact that you are A minor living as an A major. That's the problem. It's time to become A minor and embrace who you are. It's time. So I'm going to continue and break this down, but I am doing a masterclass for 5 days starting this Monday. Go ahead and grab the link below. It's everything you need. Register. It is $1,000 for the 5 days or pay what you can. Grab the link, register. Everything's all taken care of. And then I will make sure that you get in on these videos. Right now, I'm going to give you a little, this is how I handle my Mercury because this is fucking amazing shit. I love it. This is like the end result. Once you get your true song and you're living your A minor and you are you, Mercury retrograde comes along and you don't even feel it. Really. Like, I didn't even know Mercury retrograde was here until the internet exploded and everyone went, oh my God. And I went, oh, retrograde is here. Okay. And this is what it looks like. I had two things that were unresolved. And I'm going to point this out to you. I had two Just two things. I had two inauthenticities, and that's it. It it is called an inauthenticity. This is basically a note that doesn't belong to you. Okay, so I had two, just two, because I've done the fucking work. I didn't shove crystals up my ass. I did the work. Oh, believe me, I did shove crystals up my ass. There were many times where I was just like, crystals, I need gems. Because I get it. I get it. When I was a sixth, I was all about the crystals. Now it's like, well, I mean, yeah, I still have like crystals, they're still here, but I don't need them. I don't need them. Those are band-aids. Those are band-aids. Okay. That's it. Those are band-aids. You're bleeding out. You are losing a limb and you're trying to put a band-aid over your limbless arm. That's what you're doing with crystals. No, we need to get you aligned. When you start to align yourself, there are layers, many, 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 many layers. There are thousands of layers. A personality is made up of a lot of bullshit, a lot. And if you've spent your entire life trying to conform to someone else's frequency, you have layered a lot of bullshit on top of you. Now, I call those invasive perspectives. So it's going to take time to weed through all of these layers, carve out everything, and get you where you need to be. It's going to be a lot. So when you're finally aligned, when Mercury retrograde comes along again, you're going to feel like one or two things. You'll be able to identify them, you'll clean house, and you're fine. But there's a difference between, and that's what we call maintenance. I'm in maintenance mode. So now when Mercury retrograde comes along, it's just maintenance. I wouldn't even call this spring cleaning. I would just call it maintenance. Oh, look at that. I got two engine lights that went off. I needed to resolve fear of losing communication with my partner. That was it. And the other one was aligning my truth to commerce. That was it. That was it. Those were my two inauthenticities. Now, prior to Mercury, I felt stuck. I just felt stuck. An unidentified stuckness. I'm loving the words today. Unidentified stuckness. And I did manifesting. I did a whole lot of, I wish I could figure this out. And whenever I manifested, the universe said to me, my intuition said to me, keep talking to him. Just keep talking to him. Just keep talking to him. So I just kept talking to my partner. I just kept emailing and talking. And I could feel that it was getting better. I could feel that things were going along, but I couldn't figure it out. It just felt right. It felt good. I kept doing it, but I couldn't identify it. And then with my business, that was a nightmare. Everything was aligned. Everything was gorgeous. Everything was perfect, except the commerce side. How much do I charge? And do I charge? And how do I charge? How do I market? It was all of the commerce bullshit side of the healing garden that I was struggling with. And so I did what only I could figure out to do at that time, which is, well, I'll do what everybody else is doing. Unfortunately, everybody else was doing what the patriarch said to do. So I had my entire business built up on authentic meanness, except for the payment part. That I fell back and defaulted to what the patriarchy said to do because I didn't know. I could not figure out my authentic truth when it came to how to run the commerce side of my business. Today, I got both of those shifts. Yesterday, I was uncomfortable. Yesterday, I felt off and I went, and it was like a bad day for me in Mercury retrograde is I'm feeling a little sad. And that's it. I'm just feeling a little sad. And I did. I lost my energy and I was just feeling okay. And that's it. That was my Mercury retrograde. So I went to bed last night and I did a whole lot of texting to my partner, like, this is how I feel. I feel like a failure. I'm struggling. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm sure it's going to pick up. I'm sure I'm going to resolve the problem in a day or two. But right now, this is what I feel like. And I just feel like I have failed. Thank you for listening. I love you. Good night. I went to bed. I had a bad dream. And the bad dream is a repeated dream I've had now. And I don't get bad dreams anymore. Bad dreams are trauma responses and or, they're always an or, they are your identity is talking to you. Your identity is always talking to you. Every dream you get, good or bad, is your identity talking. That is all they are. Your identity is trying to tell you what she wants, period. And you're not listening. So when I get a bad dream, it's a massive, I need to sit down and have a conversation with identity. Literally, it's okay, identity. Yes, can I help you? The first time, this is a repeated dream. This is the second time I've had the same dream. The first time I had it, I could not interpret it because it wasn't Mercury retrograde. And I went, I have no idea what this dream means. I could not figure it out. So last night I had the same dream again, and I went, okay, I'm all done with this dream. It's a bad dream, and I don't like it. And basically, there is an obstacle in the dream where I cannot communicate with my partner. That's it. That's the whole dream. I can't communicate with my partner. So I reflected, I manifested, I meditated this morning, and then it came to me. And I went, oh, I have a fear of losing communication with him. Now, this fear has been the core fear in our relationship from day one. I am afraid of losing communication with him. Everything else I don't give a shit about. It's the incapability of communicating with him. It's very much steeped in, there's a lot of roots in the abuse that I suffered when I was married, where because I was married and I was owned, I was not free to communicate with anybody. My communication was dictated to me by my husband, including my husband had a checklist of topics, my second husband, that I was not allowed to discuss in his absence ever without him present with my girlfriend. Like he had a checklist. When I say I was a slave, I meant it. So, and I remember that day. He gave me this checklist of you are not allowed to talk about these with your girlfriend. And I took back to my therapist. I was furious. And at that time I had enough. Like I was finally working out the Stockholm syndrome. I was finally working out the boundaries and the communications. I was finally working out the psyche. And I was able to come back and say, you don't have the right to lay down that kind of garbage to me. But it was enough that it traumatized me. And oh my God, the abuse that came after because I laid down those boundaries. But it stayed with me. So that now, present day, I'm in relationships and I have this terror of losing communication. In fact, that is my core reason why I don't date right now, is because I am terrified that a man is going to tell me, you don't have the right to speak to so and so. And like that's it. And to be honest with you, I will probably never date again because my communication freedom, my autonomy freedom is on the line whenever you date a man from the patriarchy or a woman from the patriarchy. As soon as you step into a relationship with someone from the patriarchy, you have to give up your identity, your autonomy, and your freedom of speech. And I don't work with that bullshit. So I just don't date. Like for me, that's a hardcore no. And I finally was able to articulate all of this fear to my partner, and it's resolved. And I felt it resolve. I felt my brain shift. I felt it release. And it was the first time our relationship just shifted so that it feels exactly the way it did in the first 3 months when we first met. Like suddenly, boom, I've got my relationship back the way I've always wanted it. It was extraordinary, the power of identifying this inauthenticity. And that unidentified stuckness is now gone. The second flip of all this was the misalignment of my commerce to my business. And it was I had no idea how to manage payment or pricing in my business. I'm sitting here putting out prices going, well, this is what I think it's worth. This is what it's worth, in my opinion. And that's the crux. I am a perspective psychologist. In my perspective, here's the price. But that's not your perspective. So every time you see a price labeled on something, you now have to decide, is that matching my perspective? It was extraordinary. And I have this massive ethical, what about the people who need it and can't afford it? Do they get left behind? And it was a really difficult, it was not a difficult decision to make once I realized the solution. It was a very difficult solution to find because I had my brain completely ensconced in the patriarchy's rules. And I have a life that is, everything's aligned to my authentic law, my personal truth, except this, and that's the inconsistency. So Mercury retrograde was able to just shake it up a bit. I was able to go, oh, I just need to switch that over to a pay what you can, and I'm good. The price is still there, but pay what you can. Problem solved. It felt right. It felt good. I'm happy. It gives me joy. So then the flip side of all of that, I'm looking at that, and there you go. There are my two inauthentic stucknesses. They're cleared up. And literally, I'm just sitting here now enjoying the lack of cognitive dissonance. And that's it. It's a complete and total lack of cognitive dissonance. The pain you feel during Mercury retrograde is cognitive dissonance, but you've suppressed it. Mercury retrograde, it doesn't let you suppress it. Mercury retrograde is the universe saying, we're going to go into your closet and take out all those skeletons that you crammed there. That's what Mercury retrograde is. Because it's aligned to the song of, the way I like to think about it is this way. The universe has its own agenda, and its agenda is everything must align. And that's all it cares about. It is not sentient. It is not sentient. It just has a goal and a purpose. Everything must align. When I was in science class in the 6th grade, yes, I'm going there, I remember reading an article or something in a textbook that explained the precise tilt of planet Earth and how planet Earth's precise tilt allowed for the current magnetism between the North and the South Pole to just diffuse and function and spin, and everything from the moon's relationship, the planetary's relationship, all of this dance, the whole damn thing was dependent upon the precise angle of the planet Earth's axis. Not that the Earth is the center of our galaxy or our solar system, the sun is, but our own planetary tilt was vital to our survival. So that if you even tilted the planet Earth by 1 degree, the whole goddamn thing would be fucked up. Do you know what that tells me? That alignment is really fucking important to the planet, to the energy. And it absolutely, that's the agenda. That's the purpose of the electromagnetic field. That's the purpose of all of this, to align. So imagine that the energy field is just this machine. It's this Borg. It is a hive mind that says align, 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 and that's all it does. It has to make sure everything is aligned because it's got to run and process. This is where the karma pool comes into it, the karma bank account. It doesn't give a shit about vengeance and what wrong you did. It just wants to make sure everything's aligned, and it counts. It adds and subtracts alignment based off of the karma pool. So it takes into your karma pool and it just calculates. It's like a little adding machine that goes, okay, and there you go, and there's the results, and this is where it's supposed to go, and there's the alignment. and it pushes it out there. Now, where are you in all of this? Because if you're not aligned to your authentic truth, the planet, when it goes through its calculations and it makes sure everyone is aligned, is going to pull at you and make sure you know it. And if you're resisting the flow, you're going to feel cognitive dissonance. And that's really what it is. You're in pain with Mercury retrograde because you're resisting the natural alignment of the planet. You think that's going to feel good? Especially with a grown hippocampus that's completely wired now into the entire electromagnetic field. Oh, you're going to feel it. So yeah, shove those crystals up your ass. Or accept the energy pool and fucking get in line. It's funny because our whole lives, we've got this commonplace perspective forth saying, you got to be like this, you got to be like this, you got to be like this. And that pulls us out of alignment from where we're supposed to naturally be. So now you've got to choose fourth perspective, patriarchal garbage, or the universe. Our subconscious mind tells us that it's safe to conform to that bullshit. So we stay with that bullshit. But the universe says, I've got to align you. So now it's you are literally in this mental tug of war between what the universe says you need to do versus what the patriarchy is telling you that it wants you to do because it likes its rules and its laws and its boxes. Now, I know this is easy. I know every sixth perspective is screaming, fuck the patriarchy bullshit. I want to go to the universe. I get it. I'm right there with you. I'm absolutely with there 100%. You do. You don't want that patriarchal garbage. But your subconscious mind was hijacked, taken away from you, conditioned to obey, and abused so that if it doesn't conform, you're not going to get away from that. Because while the universe's agenda is keep everyone aligned, your subconscious mind's agenda is keep her safe, keep the identity safe. And if that means you get conformed to this patriarchal society that puts you in a box, your safety is on the line. Your subconscious mind is going to override whatever identity wants to make sure you conform. Your subconscious mind dictates identity's wants by suppressing her. Your subconscious mind dictates your conscious awareness, your ego's actions by overriding and self-sabotaging, causing you to forget, putting in subliminal messaging inside of you so that you do what it wants you to do. And suddenly you've ghost quit a job and you haven't even realized it. Suddenly you're choosing partners and spouses that you can't stand because your subconscious mind's got beacons going off. Suddenly you're crammed into a lifestyle that doesn't have anything to do with what you want. But by God, is it making your father proud? And you can't figure out why you're so unhappy. It takes a lot of self-honesty to cut out all of this bullshit so you can live authentically. Because that's really, really what you are doing. You have literally a manufactured lifestyle and an authentic lifestyle. And your manufactured lifestyle is literally the entire machination of the patriarchy and a system that wants you to conform into their little boxes. Your authentic perspective is your A minor, is your son, and is aligned naturally to the universe. It's identity's desires. So when Mercury retrograde comes along, it cleans out the closet. It cleans out all of your bullshit. Meditation, that's not what meditation is for. Meditation is not for you to stabilize yourself and resist against the current. That is not what meditation is for, and you are abusing meditation. Meditation is actually for communicating with your subconscious mind and for communicating with your identity. During Mercury retrograde only, I offer online meditation classes that accompany my full self-care regimen free, and they are located on my YouTube channel. It's called Meditation for Beginners. And I walk you through 45 minutes, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, the conversation that you need to have with yourself to realign with your identity so that you can stop resisting the universe. It's not bear down, prepare for the worst, hold on, this is going to be a hard Mercury retrograde. That's resisting. The retrograde is talking to you. The energy is talking to you. Your intuition is pulling it, and you are resisting, which is why it hurts. So the more you turn to crystals and meditation to resist it, no, that's not how you manage a mental subconscious mind. That is not how you manage mental metamorphosis. That is an avoidant behavior, and it's how you resist change. So you can keep the delusion that you were given at birth so that you can make daddy happy. And that's the problem. It's inauthentic. I have a real New York City, tell it like it is, write down, cutting through the bullshit approach to life. It's not for everyone. If you love the shit I do here, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want more shit like this, I really strongly recommend you subscribe to my amphitheater. You will get my Healing Garden Starter Pack. You're going to get my Healing Garden Journey Plan, and you will also get Finding Your Coordinates so you know where you are, where you want to be, and then I give you the information to get you there. In addition, take a look at this week's upcoming masterclass on surviving Mercury retrograde. To register, the link is down below. Go ahead and email me, follow all the explanation below. It's $1,000 for the 5-day class, or pay what you can. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.